Alien designer builds biohabitats that only come alive when a human enters their hidden realm. Kaylin stood atop the crystalline balcony of Meridian Outpost, the transparent floor beneath her feet thrumming with the pulse of 1,000 converging technologies. Her iridescent bronze skin shimmered beneath the white-hot station lights, battle-worn armor clinging to her lean, sinewy frame. A sea of dignitaries, representatives of worlds both ancient and young, watched with expectant eyes as she raised her hand toward the centerpiece of the chamber. Behind her, the biostructure waited, a colossal, organic edifice, its surface veined with dormant light, its form both alien and impossibly graceful. It loomed silent, like the husk of a slumbering titan, promising adaptation, healing, and unity for any species who dwelled within. Kaylin's voice rang clear, edged with pride and fatigue. This construct is the culmination of Soren ingenuity and interstellar collaboration. It will listen, learn, and reshape itself to serve all who seek shelter beneath its roof. She swept her arm with a flourish, activating the sequence. Nothing happened. The living structure remained inert, its metallic ochre skin dull and unresponsive. A ripple of discomfort spread through the crowd. Kaylin's jaw tightened, her posture never wavering, even as her heart plummeted. Overseer Dravik stepped forward, his shadow falling long across the platform. Towering and severe, his silver armor gleamed, every gesture calculated for maximum effect. "You assured us the synthesis would be ready, Kaylin," he intoned, his deep voice echoing in the hush. "We have dignitaries from 12 systems watching. Explain this." Silence. She met his gaze, refusing to shrink. "The biostructure's awakening requires a careful balance. Soren biomatrixes are sensitive." Sensitive? Dravik's interruption was sharp, slicing through the tension. "What it requires is function, not poetry." Our guests grow restless. A smattering of skeptical murmurs rose from the delegates. Kaylin heard the biting whispers: waste of resources, over-reliance on theory, Soren arrogance. In the pause, another voice chimed in, slick and assured. "If I may, Overseer," said Rintal, stepping into the light. His uniform was immaculate, his smile practiced. "Perhaps we should return to proven technologies. My team has prepared a modular habitat." "Spare us your sales pitch, Rin." Kaylin shot back, her tone icy. He bowed his head, feigning humility. "I only wish for Meridian's success." The demonstration ended in a whisper of disappointment, delegates filing out with downcast eyes and hushed conversations. Dravik lingered, his expression granite. When only Kaylin remained, he fixed her with a hard stare. "You have 3 days," he said, voice low and dangerous. "If you cannot wake it, Rin's proposal moves forward." "I will not risk the outpost's reputation on dreams, Kaylin." As his footsteps faded, Kaylin pressed her forehead to the biostructure's cool, unyielding surface. Her breath fogged against it, frustration and desperation churning beneath the surface of her calm. She closed her amber eyes, listening for the faintest hum of life, but heard only the distant sounds of the station. A soft, unfamiliar voice broke the silence. "Didn't know talking to buildings was a Soren pastime." Kaylin spun, defensive instinct flaring. A human stood in the archway, a Terran, tall and broad-shouldered, his brown hair tousled, his stance casual but alert. He wore the practical jumpsuit of a biologist, a faint smile curving his lips as he took in the scene. "Who are you?" Kaylin demanded, bristling. "This level is restricted." He raised his hands in a gesture of peace. "Eli Warren. I'm with the Terran delegation. Biology division." "Sorry, didn't mean to intrude. Just couldn't sleep, so I wandered." Kaylin eyed him with open suspicion. Humans meddling where they don't belong. How fitting. Eli chuckled, undeterred. Or maybe I'm just curious about Soren architecture. You built this, didn't you? Living structures? That's incredible. On Earth, we're still arguing over self-healing polymers. She scoffed, folding her arms. Primitive, but charming in its own way. He stepped closer, his gaze traveling over the inert form. It's beautiful, even like this. May I? He gestured toward the biostructure, awaiting her consent. Kaelin hesitated, then shrugged. It's not as if you can break it any further. Eli reached out, his fingers splaying gently on the surface. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, beneath his touch, a flicker of light pulsed. Subtle at first, then blooming outward in a wave of iridescent color. The dormant veins of the biostructure shimmered, casting shifting patterns across the floor. Kaelin's breath caught. "What did you do?" she whispered. Eli stared at his hand, astonished. I don't know. I just touched it." She shouldered him aside, pressing her own palm to the structure, willing it to respond. Nothing. The lights faded, leaving only confusion in their wake. Kaelin's frustration sharpened into accusation. "Explain yourself, Taryn. What did you inject? What device?" He spread his hands. "Nothing, I swear. It just reacted." Before she could press further, alarms blared throughout the chamber. Emergency lights painted the walls red as Dravik's voice thundered through the intercom. "Kaelin, report to the demonstration hall at once. What have you done?" Hope, fragile and electric, flickered in Kaelin's chest. She turned to Eli, amber eyes blazing. "We've made a breakthrough," she declared, already striding toward the exit. Within minutes, the news raced through Meridian Outpost. The Terran biologist had awakened the inert Soren biostructure. The balance of power, and Kaelin's future, had shifted in an instant. The following day, Kaelin and Eli found themselves standing side by side in a circular chamber ringed with obsidian glass at the heart of Meridian Outpost's administrative core. Arrayed before them sat a panel of scientists and officials, Soren, Terran, and delegates of other worlds, each face set with careful neutrality or thinly veiled suspicion. The air was heavy with anticipation and the metallic tang of recycled oxygen. Kaelin's voice was steady as she addressed the council. "Yesterday, the biostructure responded to Dr. Warren's touch. The data logs show a spike in neural resonance, completely unprecedented. I have never observed such a reaction, not even during controlled synthesis." A holographic diagram flickered to life in the center of the table, displaying spectral overlays and rippling data streams. Kaelin gestured, her bronze fingers leaving luminous trails. "You can see here, when Dr. Warren made contact, the structure's neural lattice synchronized with his biosignature. The effect was immediate and localized, and it faded when I attempted to replicate it." A Soren scientist leaned forward, their voice clipped. "Have you ever detected this resonance in simulations?" "No," Kaelin replied, her amber eyes unwavering. "Not in any species tested so far." From across the table, Rin's gaze was sharp and cold. He folded his arms, his words slicing through the tension. "Convenient, isn't it? That a Terran just happens to awaken your so-called universal structure. Perhaps your parameters were not as neutral as you claim, Kaelin. Did you program it to favor humans?" Kaelin's jaw tightened. "The synthesis matrix was designed for multi-species adaptability. If you're implying..." "Implication is unnecessary," Rin sneered. "The evidence is plain. You..." Dravik cut him off with a raised hand. "Enough. This is no time for accusations." He fixed Kaelin and Eli with an uncompromising stare. "You will collaborate, both of you. Replicate this phenomenon. Prove it is not some Terran trick before the Convergent Summit. That gives you 48 hours." Kaelin inclined her head, her voice low and controlled. "Understood, Overseer." Eli nodded as well, though his gaze flickered with unease. As the council adjourned, the officials filed out, their conversations hushed and speculative. Kaylin lingered at the edge of the chamber, her shoulders tense, eyes cast down. Eli moved to her side, offering a tentative, genuine smile. "I trust you," he said quietly. "Whatever Rin thinks, I know you didn't rig anything. You couldn't have known well, whatever it is I did." Kaylin's lips twitched, almost a smile. "Trust is in short supply here, Taryn. But thank you." He hesitated, searching her face. "You really didn't expect any of this, did you?" She shook her head. "No. My work—" She paused, the words catching. "My work is more personal than the council understands. If you're willing, I'd like to show you something. Off the record." Eli's eyes softened. "Lead the way." Kaylin guided him through winding corridors and security doors, deeper into the outpost. The sterile lighting gave way to softer bioluminescent hues as they entered a secluded laboratory, nestled in a quiet alcove. The air was thick with the scent of earth and growing things. In the center of the chamber stood a grove of smaller, experimental biostructures, pods and vines and spires, each pulsing faintly with a life of its own. Kaylin paused among them, her posture loosening, the scientist's mask slipping to reveal something more vulnerable. "When I was a child," she began, voice barely above a whisper, "I could hear the signals of living things, their patterns, their moods. My people dismissed it as childish fantasy, an overactive mind, but I knew what I felt." Eli's gaze was gentle, curious. "You still hear them?" She nodded. "Faintly, enough to guide my work. These structures are extensions of that gift. I hoped they could bridge the gap between species, create spaces that listen as well as serve." She moved to a low, oval pod, its surface iridescent and still. "Most who touch them receive nothing. A brief flicker, perhaps. But yesterday, you woke something I never have." She gestured for him to try. Eli knelt and placed his hand on the pod. Instantly, color rippled through its skin, azure and gold, spiraling outward in vibrant waves. Leaves unfurled, and a sweet fragrance bloomed in the air. Kaylin stepped back, awe painting her features. "I've tested dozens. No one evokes that response." Eli's voice was hushed. "I've always felt more comfortable among plants than people. It's like they're easier to understand." He glanced at her, searching for ridicule, but found only wonder. Kaylin reached out, her hand brushing his as it rested on the pod. At their contact, the structure pulsed even brighter, light and scent and warmth radiating in synchrony. The pod's surface shimmered with life, a tangible echo of their growing connection. Kaylin swallowed, her voice unsteady for the first time. "It's amplifying, responding to us both." Eli grinned, his earlier reserve dissolving in the shared discovery. "Maybe it's not just biology. Maybe it's resonance. Between people, too." Kaylin held his gaze, a silent understanding passing between them. "We need to figure this out, together." They moved through the grove, testing, experimenting. Each time Eli touched a structure, it bloomed. When Kaylin joined him, the effect intensified. Colors deepened, shapes unfurled in impossible patterns. Data streamed across her tablet, confirming what her senses already knew. The structures were reading not just touch, but emotion. During one experiment, Eli cupped a slender sprout, focusing on the wonder he felt, his delight at the alien beauty surrounding him. The sprout blossomed, its tendrils reaching toward him, curling in a slow, elegant dance. Kaylin watched, fascination growing in her eyes. "It's more than physical contact," she observed. "You're transmitting feeling. The structure is reading you, adapting in real time." Eli laughed, the sound bright in the hushed laboratory. I never thought I'd be a universal remote for an alien garden. Kaylin allowed herself a rare, genuine smile. Perhaps you're more conduit than controller. He turned to her, earnest. You should try. If I can, maybe you can too. Kaylin hesitated, uncertainty flickering across her features. Then she placed her hand beside his on a blooming pod. For a moment, nothing happened. Eli offered a reassuring nod, and Kaylin closed her eyes, reaching for the faint signals she'd sensed since childhood. She let herself feel the awe, the hope, the cautious excitement at what might be. Light flared beneath their hands, the pod glowing with renewed energy, more brilliant than before. The entire grove seemed to resonate, a soft hum filling the air. Their eyes met over the radiant surface, the moment stretching, charged with possibility. Scientific, emotional, and something deeper. Neither spoke, but the connection was undeniable, a silent vow to unravel the mystery together, whatever it might reveal. Kaylin and Eli's partnership deepened with every passing hour. In the labs, their dialogue was quick, sharp, and intimate. Each challenge met together, each small success kindling a spark that leaped beyond the workbench. At night, when the rest of Meridian Outpost lay quiet, they would linger in the heart of the living groves. Sometimes they spoke in low voices about their discoveries, sometimes not at all, content to watch the subtle shifts of light and color as the structures responded to their presence. Each night spent together seemed to amplify the habitat's responsiveness, until even casual laughter or a gentle touch sent ripples of bioluminescence arcing through the roots and leaves. Meridian Outpost transformed. Kaylin's architecture, once regarded as a beautiful but impractical experiment, flourished into a living system that fed itself on the emotions and rhythms of its inhabitants. Corridors softened with gentle vines that muffled sound and filtered air. Communal spaces blossomed with fragrant blooms that changed scent according to the mood within. Even the living quarters reconfigured to cradle their occupants in comfort and light. Delegates from distant worlds marveled at the subtle beauty, and for the first time since its construction, Meridian felt like a true sanctuary, a place where walls listened and sheltered, not merely contained. Dravik, once skeptical, now strode through the transformed halls with a rare look of satisfaction. "You've achieved in weeks what others failed to do in years," he said, his praise gruff but genuine as he observed the radiant spaces. "Keep going, Kaylin. The summit will be a triumph." But science, Kaylin knew, was rarely so simple. During a routine scan, the medical console chimed an alert. Kaylin frowned, reviewing the data. Eli stood behind her, arms folded, gaze curious. "What is it?" he asked, leaning over her shoulder. She magnified the results, her voice tight. "Your cellular markers, they're changing. Increased conductivity, alterations in neural proteins. Your body's adapting, Eli, or the structures are adapting to you." He flashed a wry smile. "Is that a bad thing?" "It's unknown." Her brow furrowed. "You could be at risk. I should halt the integration." He placed a steadying hand over hers, warmth radiating from his touch. "I feel better than I have in years. Stronger. Clearer. Whatever's happening, I'm not afraid. Not as long as we're together." The uncertainty in her eyes softened, and she allowed herself to lean into him. Around them, the nearest structures shimmered, filaments weaving into a cocoon of light and living fiber. It enveloped them in gentle warmth, mirroring the intimacy of their embrace. "I've never seen the system do that," Kaylin murmured, awe and apprehension mingling in her tone. Eli brushed his lips against her hair. "Maybe it's learning from us, too." Their peace was shattered by the metallic clang of boots in the corridor, followed by the harsh hiss of the lab doors parting. A woman strode in, clad in the black and silver uniform of the Galactic Security Corps. Her presence radiated authority. Her gaze was sharp, unyielding. Kaylin Soren, Dr. Warren. Her voice was crisp, and she flashed a credentials chip. Commander Sierra, Security Corps. You will both remain where you are. Kaylin stiffened, instinctively stepping in front of Eli. This is a restricted lab. State your purpose. Sierra regarded them with cool detachment. You're aware, Dr. Warren, that you have been monitored for years by interstellar authorities. Your affinity for living systems is unique and highly classified. Eli's brow furrowed, confusion bleeding into anger. Monitored. I was never told. Sierra continued, unperturbed. We have observed you since your earliest research. Your connection to adaptive bioforms makes you the only human capable of controlling these habitats at will. The authorities intend to harness this. Design habitats that respond only to select individuals. Kaylin's breath caught. Selective response? You mean to weaponize my designs? Not weaponize, control. Sierra's lips curled in a mirthless smile. We have others like you, Eli. Humans with latent compatibility. They are in secure custody until their potential can be harnessed. Cooperate, and Kaylin remains safe. Refuse, and I cannot guarantee her protection. Or your own. She tapped a holopad, projecting images. Humans in containment, electrodes monitoring their every breath, blueprints of adaptive structures coded to recognize only specific markers. Evidence, impossible to refute. Kaylin reeled, her strength draining as the implications crashed over her. The beauty she'd poured her life into, the promise of unity, now twisted into a tool for control and exclusion. She collapsed into Eli's arms, her frame shuddering. He held her close, fury burning in his eyes. You're using us. Both of us. Sierra's gaze was merciless. The decision is yours. You have until the summit. Choose wisely. As the commander strode from the lab, the living structures dimmed, colors fading to gray, as if they too recoiled from the threat. Silence pressed in, thick and suffocating. Kaylin's voice trembled. I should have known. They'll use my work to divide, not unite. Eli cupped her face, forcing her to meet his gaze. No, I won't let them turn this into another tool for the powerful. We can stop them. She searched his eyes, hope and despair warring in her chest. How? They control everything. The outpost, the data. We escape. Eli whispered fiercely, drawing her close as the structure around them pulsed in faint sympathy. And we expose what they're doing before it's too late. He pressed his forehead to hers, his promise an anchor in the storm. Around them, the living architecture flickered, sensing their resolve, and the faintest glow returned, fragile but unbroken. Together, Kaylin and Eli orchestrated their escape beneath Meridian Outpost's ever-watchful sensors. Every corridor thrummed with risk, yet as they pressed forward, hand in hand, hearts pounding, the living structures seemed to sense their desperation and their unity. Walls that had always stood implacable now rippled and shifted, opening secret passageways in response to Kaylin's silent intent and Eli's calming presence. Shadowed alcoves enveloped them just as patrols swept past, the soft glow of bioluminescent moss masking their heat signatures and hiding their anxious breaths. They moved in a rhythm born of necessity and trust, barely daring to speak above a whisper. At one narrow junction, footsteps thundered far too close. Kaylin's breath caught, but Eli pressed her against the cool, humming wall, his arm braced protectively around her. Their faces were inches apart, eyes wide with adrenaline and longing. Kaylin, he whispered, his voice raw. I'm here. I'll never leave you. Not for anything. She reached up, cupping his cheek, her own fear melting beneath the intensity of his gaze. Eli kissed her, deep, urgent and unafraid, a promise sealed in the shadows. Around them, the living walls pulsed in a wave of amber and gold, echoing their intimacy, the network itself amplifying their bond. For a moment, the universe shrank to that hidden alcove, the warmth of Eli's lips, the strength of Kalen's arms around him, the shared certainty that whatever awaited them, they would face it together. When the danger passed, the passageway unfurled again, guiding them deeper into the outpost's underbelly. The path led to an abandoned wing, a sanctuary among Kalen's earliest failed prototypes. These neglected structures, odd, asymmetrical pods and tangled root nests, glowed softly at their approach, their lights flaring in recognition of the creator who had once dreamed them into being. Kalen knelt among the shapes, her fingers trailing across a pod's surface. They were never good enough, she murmured. Too unpredictable, too sensitive to their environment. Eli crouched beside her, hand finding hers. They recognize you. They remember. A hush settled over the space. Eli closed his eyes, letting his awareness drift outward. For the first time, he sensed the full extent of the network. Not a collection of isolated habitats, but a vast empathic web. Signals pulsed through the organic matter, carrying traces of memory and emotion from structure to structure. Echoes of Kalen's hopes and fears, now interwoven with Eli's presence. He opened his eyes, wonder shining in their depths. It's not just architecture, Kalen. It's a living system, an empathic network. I can feel it linking everything together. You created this. Kalen's voice trembled. I always thought it was a flaw. I tried to make them less reactive, more stable. But I see now. They were waiting for someone to complete the circuit. You did, Eli said softly. But it's our bond that truly activates the system. It responds to us, to what we feel for each other. She stared at him, uncertainty and awe warring in her expression. Do you really believe that? Eli smiled, squeezing her hand. I know it. I've never felt anything like this. A gentle chime interrupted their reverie. From the gloom, Dr. Mira emerged, her tall, lithe Zalari form marked by opalescent skin and intelligent, multifaceted eyes. She carried a portable console, its screen flickering with encrypted schematics. I found you, Mira said, her voice musical yet urgent. You asked for help accessing the archives. Kalen stood, hope rekindling. Did you find anything? Mira nodded, fingers dancing across the interface. Hidden in the outpost's oldest records, not indexed, almost erased. But I reconstructed the logs. She projected holographic files into the air, their text flickering between Soran glyphs and Terran script. As they read, the dark history unfurled before them. Centuries ago, during the first age of Soran-Terran cooperation, a joint team had developed living architectures, systems designed for total neural integration. The goal: unity between species, seamless understanding, a utopia forged in shared consciousness. But the project had ended in catastrophe. Most subjects perished, their minds overwhelmed by the network's depth. Only rare, genetically compatible pairs survived. Soran and Terran, their lineages engineered in secret to withstand the empathic tide. Kalen's ancestry, she realized with a jolt, was no random gift. It was the legacy of an ancient experiment. Kalen's knees buckled. She sank onto a pod, staring at her trembling hands. It wasn't me. I'm not special. I'm just a product. Eli knelt in front of her, his expression fierce. No, you are more than an experiment, Kalen. Whatever they intended, you made this system your own. You gave it beauty and purpose. That is real. What we have is real. Mira watched, her alien features softening. Many Zalari believed in the dream once, but unity cannot be forced. It must be chosen, lived. Kaylin's eyes filled with tears, but she looked up, searching Eli's face. What if they try again? What if they use this to control others? To hurt them? Eli took her hands in his voice steady. Then we change the terms. We show them it's not about dominance or forced merging. It's about empathy. True communication between species. No more experiments. No more victims. We offer a new approach. Kaylin drew a shaky breath, resolve kindling in her chest. We can use the network. Show them what it was meant to be. Mira nodded. If we broadcast the records, if the truth reaches the Convergent Summit, they cannot hide the past. The Council will have to listen. Eli smiled, hope glimmering in his eyes. And if the network amplifies our message, everyone will feel what we feel. Kaylin straightened, new strength flowing through her. Then let's do it. We secure the evidence, we prepare the network, and we confront the authorities. Together. Their hands remained clasped, the glow of the prototypes reflecting in their eyes. In the quiet sanctuary of forgotten dreams, a new purpose bloomed. Fragile, but growing stronger by the moment. Alarms blared across Meridian Outpost, a discordant symphony of sirens and flashing crimson lights. The corridors shook with the rush of fleeing civilians and the heavy boots of security teams. Kaylin and Eli darted through the chaos, Dr. Mira and their small band of allies close behind, each step dogged by the threat of discovery. As they rounded a corner into a maintenance tunnel, a figure emerged from the shadows, blaster raised. Kaylin's heart seized. Then she recognized Rin, his face drawn with strain, his uniform stained and askew. Stay back, he warned, eyes flicking from Kaylin to Eli. Security's everywhere. Sears declared you traitors, framed you both for sabotage. Eli stiffened. So you're here to turn us in? Rin's jaw worked. For a heartbeat, Kaylin saw the calculating rival, the man who had once relished her every misstep. But his next words were softer, shaded with something like regret. No, Sierra's gone too far. I may not trust you, Kaylin, but I won't see your work twisted into a weapon. He lowered the blaster. We don't have much time. If you want to save the network, and yourselves, you'll need my help. Kaylin hesitated, searching Rin's face for deceit. Instead, she found only grim resolve. She nodded. Then we moved together. Dr. Mira, what's our best chance? Mira's eyes flashed. The central nexus. If we access it, we can broadcast an empathic signal, show everyone what the network truly is. Eli took Kaylin's hand, their fingers lacing tight. Let's finish this. For all of us. The group pressed forward, weaving through service corridors and abandoned service shafts. The living structures sensed their urgency, walls softened, pathways opened, and bioluminescent vines shielded them from prying eyes. The station's panic seemed a world away, muffled beneath the protective hush of Kaylin's creations. Finally, they reached the heart of the outpost, the Nexus Chamber. Here, the network's living core pulsed in the center of the room, a column of shifting light and organic tendrils, humming with the resonance of 1,000 voices. But Syrah and her security forces were already waiting. Armed officers formed a barricade, weapons trained, faces set with suspicion and fear. Syrah herself stood at the front, her expression a mask of authority, though her eyes betrayed a flicker of doubt. Kaylin Soren, Dr. Warren, Syrah called, voice echoing in the vast chamber. Stand down. You're charged with sabotage and conspiracy. Kaylin stepped forward, chin raised. It's a lie, Commander. You know it. All we've ever wanted is to prove the network's true purpose. Syrah's lip curled. Your purpose is irrelevant. The Council has already decided. Then let them see for themselves, Eli interrupted, his voice ringing with quiet conviction. Let everyone feel what this network can do. For a heartbeat, the world held its breath. Rin glanced at Kaelin. Now. Together, Kaelin and Eli moved to the core, ignoring the shouts behind them. They placed their hands on the living column. Instantly, the structure flared, light surging outward in concentric waves. A soft tremor pulsed through the station as the network awoke, hungry for connection. A surge of warmth and sensation swept through Meridian Outpost. Every inhabitant, Sorin, Terran, Zilari, and countless others, felt a gentle brush across their minds. Barriers dropped. Emotions, memories, fragments of longing and hope and fear flowed through the network like music. For a moment, the station was united in a tapestry of empathy. A security officer lowered his weapon, tears glimmering in his eyes. A group of engineers paused, hands entwined as they shared a vision of childhood gardens, family dinners, ancient stories. Even Sierra staggered, her face softening as she was swept up in the wave. Dravik's voice crackled over the comms, urgent but clear. "Stand down. All personnel, stand down. Something unprecedented is happening. Maintain calm." Kaelin's heart soared as the core glowed brighter, the empathic field swelling to fill every hollow of the station. But beneath the beauty, she sensed turbulence, the network straining at the edges, threatening to spiral out of control. Her mind raced. It's unstable. The field needs a permanent anchor. Without one, it'll collapse. Or worse. Dr. Mira's voice was tight with concern. The original experiments failed because the network burned out its subjects. It needs a bond, a conscious connection strong enough to hold it steady. Kaelin looked to Eli, terror and resolve warring in her eyes. One of us has to do it. Anchor the system. But the strain... Eli's grip tightened on her hand. Not one. Both of us. Together. We control the link. We set the terms. If we do it as equals, the network won't devour either of us. Sierra stepped forward, her features transformed by the lingering resonance of the empathic field. For the first time, her voice was uncertain. If this works, will the network remain open to all? No more secrets? Kaelin met her gaze, unwavering. Empathy can't be owned. We offer it to everyone, or not at all. Sierra hesitated, then nodded. Do it. The council will have to accept what everyone has felt. As the crowd pressed close, security officers, dignitaries, citizens of every species, Kaelin and Eli stood before the living core, hands clasped. The nexus pulsed with their heartbeats, awaiting their choice. Eli leaned in, voice trembling with anticipation. Ready? Kaelin smiled through her tears, determination shining. With you. Always. They placed their joined hands on the core, focusing their bond, their memories, their hopes, channeling everything they were into the living network. The column of light blazed, and Meridian Outpost held its breath. Kaelin and Eli closed their eyes, hands intertwined atop the living core. The world hushed around them. The shouts, the alarms, the nervous crowd, all fading into the steady pulse of the network. Together, they reached outward, minds threading through the tendrils of light, hearts guiding the energy that coursed between them. In the dark behind her eyelids, Kaelin felt Eli, steady, warm, a beacon. She trusted him completely, and that trust became the bridge, allowing her to move deeper. His thoughts brushed hers. Reassurance, admiration, the quiet promise of forever. She sent her love back to him, letting it flow through the nexus, using it to anchor her sense of self. They moved as one, yet each remained whole, a harmony that balanced unity and individuality. All across Meridian Outpost, the living structures blazed into life. Vines, pods, crystalline lattices, every surface pulsed with radiant color, the bioarchitecture responding to the surge in the core. The empathic field, once unstable and dangerous, found new stability as Kalen and Eli wove their bond through the network's heart. The sensation was overwhelming, thousands of lives brushing against her mind, a chorus of thoughts and emotions, yet never drowning her. Eli was there, always, a comforting presence amid the tide. She sensed the pattern shifting, old boundaries dissolving, replaced by a gentle lattice that allowed connection and understanding, yet preserved the sacred boundaries of self. People across the outpost gasped as they were swept into the field. Brief flashes of memory, childhood laughter, old griefs, secret hopes, danced through their awareness, connecting them to neighbors and strangers alike. It was not invasive, but liberating. An invitation to empathy, not a demand. Kalen and Eli opened their eyes together, the world coming back into focus. They remained changed. She could feel his heartbeat, his quiet joy and lingering awe, the subtle undercurrent of his thoughts. The network remained present, a steady hum at the edge of her mind, but she was still Kalen, and he was still Eli. Around them, the crowd stirred. Security officers lowered their weapons, confusion replaced by a quiet sense of wonder. Dravik stepped forward, his imposing form softened by genuine amazement. Commander Sira lingered at the edge, her stern posture slackening as she touched the wall and felt its gentle warmth. Sira's voice broke the silence. "I understand now. This network, it's not a threat. It's a gift." She looked at Kalen and Eli, her eyes shining. "You have my word. I'll protect this project's true purpose. No one will twist it into something it was never meant to be." Dravik nodded, gravitas restored. "You've done what no other has. This habitat, this entire outpost, will be a model for all the galaxy. Interspecies harmony, born from living architecture." He clapped Kalen on the shoulder, then turned to address the assembly. "Let Meridian Outpost stand as proof that understanding is possible." As the network's resonance faded, people awoke from the shared unity, tears on their faces, hands reaching for those around them. Laughter and relief rippled through the chamber, a current of hope stronger than any threat. In the days that followed, Kalen and Eli found precious moments of quiet together. They walked the blooming corridors, hands entwined, sharing dreams of what might come next. Sometimes they spoke of visiting Kalen's homeworld, of introducing Eli to the silver forests and crystal lakes she remembered from childhood. Other times, they made plans for new bridges, connections between worlds, cultures, and hearts. Each time they touched, the living structures responded, flowers unfurling, walls singing with subtle light, air scented with the promise of growth. Their love had become a catalyst, a constant renewal of the network's purpose. One night, as Meridian's twin moons hung above the outpost, Kalen stood with Eli on the crystalline balcony where it had all begun. Stars stretched beyond the curve of the station, infinite and beckoning. She leaned into his embrace, warmth seeping through the thin fabric of her suit. "I'm grateful we took that risk," she whispered, voice trembling with emotion. Eli pressed a kiss to her forehead, his arms strong around her. "I'd do it again. Any future, as long as it's with you. Whatever comes, military pressure, council threats, we face it together." They had already begun to secure the network, binding its core functions to their bond. Sira and Dravik had given their blessing, but Kalen knew there would always be those who coveted such power. Still, with allies like Rin and Dr. Mira, whose quick thinking had prevented disaster, they felt ready. Each protocol, each safeguard, was a promise. The network would remain a bridge, never a weapon. Months passed. Meridian Outpost transformed, its story spreading across the stars. Delegations arrived from distant worlds to witness the miracle. Habitats that responded to empathy, that offered sanctuary and connection. Kalen's living architecture was no longer dismissed as a curiosity. It became a beacon of peace, inspiring similar projects on other worlds. Each new structure was tuned to its people's needs, its heart always echoing the original bond between Kalen and Eli. Kalen and Eli became inseparable partners, scientists, diplomats, explorers. Together, they traveled from system to system, sharing the secret of the network not as a technology, but as a way of being. In every new place, they saw hope bloom, a Terran child marveling at a wall that played her grandmother's lullaby, a Soren elder weeping as the garden sang his lost love's song, strangers reaching out and finding kinship where none had existed before. Sometimes, in quiet moments, Kalen wondered what the future would hold. Would the galaxy truly learn to cherish connection over control? Would new threats arise, seeking to tear down what they had built? But whenever doubt crept in, Eli was there, his presence in her mind and heart, constant and clear. Standing together beneath a foreign sky, surrounded by the living legacy of their love, Kalen smiled and squeezed Eli's hand. Whatever the stars bring, we'll face it. Together. Wherever they went, beauty, healing, and hope followed. Their destinies, once uncertain, now forever entwined, glimmered among the stars, the living network a testament to what could be built when hearts, and not just minds, led the way. That's the end of the story. Please do not forget to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and write in the comments what you liked most about this story. Our team will be very grateful to you. You can find even more fascinating stories on our channel. See you in the next video.